especially, colleagues, my staff is here too. So why are we here? I can't believe the power of something that I have to share. The power of this OMST is so powerful that I want it to get into other practitioners' offices. Patients beg me to try to get it into other practitioners' offices. It's life-changing. You're going to hear little snippets of their life-changing benefits that occurred to them through something that they didn't find very soon. It took, of course, what we all go through, our patients go through, all the other interventions sometimes before they get to us. Yeah, I mean, okay. So the sooner we get our patients, all right, the better their lives change, the quality of their lives. So I love to talk about this and how it differentiates from the other therapies we do. The other therapies being in vision therapy, such as vectogram, Brock string, accommodative flippers, Virgin's training. All that is cortical top-down therapy. Patients aren't ready for that sometimes, whether it's the ADHD kids, the autistic population, the concussion patients especially. They're not ready for that type of therapy, so we crash and burn them. Shelley, did we crash and burn some patients back 12 years ago before we had this? Yes. Yes, and we all done that. What do? We're giving them too much cortical activity, meaning cognitive, do this, now do that, do this, now do that. A concussion patient can't do that. A child can't always respond to that very effectively. So you put them into a passive, controlled, safe environment of input-only therapy that is subcortical based, brainstem, instead of the cortical approach. That is the big difference in this approach to what we're doing as vision therapists and neurooptometrists. So we're already, colleagues, we are already using some tools in our toolbox that is passive input only, Yoke Prism, syntonics, filters, low plus lenses, right? Those are all great passive bottom-up therapies. But the bottom-up therapy that this represents is completely different. It really represents where a child starts in their development. And before that, even where a child's brain is developing in the embryo. For example, I'm going to go to now a discussion about senses. What grade were you in, or what age were you when you first learned about senses? Do you remember? Give me an answer. Anybody?
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten? I'm sorry?
Third grade.
Okay. Yeah? Okay. You learned senses in embryonic phase. In utero, you learned your senses. You learned touch, feel, motion. You learned smell. You learned hearing. And believe it or not, you actually were learning sight. Studies have shown that if you shine a light at a belly of a pregnant woman, the baby will turn away from it. And they have images of babies with their eyes open in the womb. So we are doing all sensory learning still in the womb. That's where we're really learning senses. Now, I tricked you. The trick question was, when did you learn about senses? Okay, I would have answered the same thing. First grade, maybe? Okay. But if sensory processing or reception of sensory information coming in is learned very well by a baby in the womb, and as soon as they're born, they learn it, they're going to have a much better chance at learning cortically. So what is sensory learning? A baby comes out of the womb, they're learning, a different vision, a different sound, all these sounds, sights, motions that's new, feelings that are totally new, smells, tastes. It's a learning process for up to age 3 that's critical. If they have sensory input, modulation, learning about how to regulate that sensory input and pay attention to what's important and what's not so important at the moment, they're going to be calmer, be able to receive input that is cortically based, so they can start learning their ABCs, math facts. But they have to have that sensory integration ability really solid. So the kids that are really struggling with development, and learning sometimes, it's just because they're not really built foundationally with sensory processing. It's really, what's important is the word multisensory processing. Sensory processing could mean vision processing, auditory processing, taste, sound, etc. But multisensory, that's the processing that has to really be learned by age 3, 4, before they are ready to go to kindergarten, first grade, and learn cortically. So, what the heck? Why do we have adults here to speak to us? Because they've suffered concussion, some of them. Concussion will cause a loss of function in sensory regulation. Stuff that you learned all those years ago, you got something miswired there. A whiplash or any shaking of the brain will cause sensory dysregulation. And so the world is just a whole confusing, broken, shattered environment. And life is crap, right? So whether it's a child on the spectrum, a child developmentally delayed learning-wise or behaviorally-wise, okay, could be the source root of that could be sensory integration difficulties. So let's remedy that, okay, before we start trying to expect them to go and do cortical-based things, whether it's classroom learning, intervention from tutoring, or vision therapy. So the OMST system is going to prime and prepare these patients of yours in vision therapy to be more receptive to their vision therapy, to school, to tutoring, to their speech therapist intervention, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're going to be calmer, more confident, more willing to explore their environment. Okay, we all do in vision therapy, developmental vision therapy, we do all that. We get those patients out there exploring space. We get them exploring, even our adults, we make them explore space. Use prisms, activities, et cetera, et cetera. But that again is a lot of active instruction and follow these, and then we tell you what to do right then at another minute or two. Whereas in OMST, you're lying on a table in a supine position to get parasympathetic engagement. You're being rotated to get vestibular stimulation. You're getting syntonic light therapy that's sitting right above your eyes. You're getting ocular motor therapy as you watch the light. You're getting the auditory stimulation, and it's all programmed and been proven for the last few decades, clinically shown to be extremely effective. So I was blown away by it, and I said, I've got to get this to the world. I've got to get it before I leave this earth. I've got to get this to the world. Otherwise, I could be out playing golf more. I could be playing my music more. Well, I did. Certainly today I played in a performance, snuck out of the conference, played a performance, got to play tomorrow night, got to play Saturday night. I love my music. It's great. But this is what I got to do first, is get this to more, get this OMST to more of my colleagues. So please consider it and spread the word. The folks here, we just had a little meeting before he came in here, and it is like tear-jerking to hear their stories. You all have great case presentations you can give, testimonials from patients, I know. But I think it'd be hard to find as many as I have that are so powerful and so amazing in such a short period of time that we get the effects out of this. So I'd like to first make sure, what questions do you guys have based on what I've said up to this point? Anything like not make sense? Okay. Yeah, the auditory is a sound track of music that's choppy. So it's modulated music, and that's choppy. There's auditory listening programs. The auditory listening programs on the market. This is what we're using. Something very similar to it. It's to provide the patient with the challenge to have to take this choppy music, and as the frequencies change and as the music fades in and out, they have to fill in the gaps. So the brain is continuing to have to wire and fill in gaps. All right, take this changing environment. When you walk around a room, walk around the world, sit in the classroom, auditory inputs are coming at all kinds of different rates and sounds. So this program helps train the brain to learn how to manage that and be okay with it. And if that's a really difficult part for the patient, they're getting vision and motion, and that's supporting the auditory processing. Multisensory processing is everybody working together. vision, auditory, motion, vestibular, working together. That's how we're born, that's how we evolved, and it's how we learn. All right. The light, though, the light is also modulation. So you saw at the conference exhibit the light modulating off and on. The table motion up and down, up and down. We change it one day to the next, different direction. Why? Because the nervous system will engage better and receive any kind of intervention better if it's being presented with novel, intermittent change. If you give a constant stimulus to a patient or to the nervous system, it adapts and then it becomes disengaged from that stimulus somewhat, starts to disregard it. So you have to keep changing that. So this system is programmed to continue to challenge the nervous system gently, to re-engage into sensory inputs in a multisensory processing manner. And that really gets the brain ready for bigger, complex tasks. You can think clearer, you can walk better, balance improves, hearing improves, memory improves, speech improves, behavior, affect improves, personality. I have my husband back, I have my daughter back, I have my wife back. Okay, you hear those things in just 30 days. 30 days this program works that fast, most of the time. We're actually starting to study on it at the College of Optometry in California, Pomona, California. Western University College of Optometry is beginning studies on it. They have a system in place. So we're real excited about that. My studies that I've published, a few studies, written articles, I never wanted to do statistics, I never wanted to do research, never wanted to speak in front of people, never wanted to publish articles, but this OMST, the sensory integration process, the power of it, I had no choice. I had to do it. And you will not regret it if you do put this in your practice. That's a guarantee. If you're the right person. If you're one of those plug and play people, it's like, and then I don't want to have anything to do with it, just put that Benovi on the wall and then just, no, you've got to really be passionate about helping the patient get through a really tough recovery. That's what neurorehabilitation is, that's what developmental vision therapy is. So most of us are already like that. But if you're, gotta have it. I would like to have a volunteer patient begin to tell their story, and we're going to just hear kind of what primarily is so profound to them as a result of getting exposed to this therapy. Okay, so where would we start? Sabrina, are you up for that?
Yeah, that's
Since
fine.
you're right to my left. Okay, Sabrina.
Hi, my name